One single leaf, one empty eggshell, and about a year later, a fully flowering plant built entirely from scratch. This propagation trick is so ridiculously simple, it almost feels like cheating. The first step is the one that makes or breaks the whole experiment, and it comes down entirely to which leaf gets chosen in the first place. Not every leaf is going to work, and this is, probably the part most people rush through without really thinking about it. The variety of the plant? Completely irrelevant. Colour, shape, species, that's all just personal preference. What actually matters is the condition of the leaf itself. It needs to be fully formed and mature, not a small new shoot that hasn't finished growing yet. It also needs to be in solid health. No visible fungus, no mould, no signs of bacterial damage, and ideally no cracks or tears anywhere on the surface. Once a good leaf is found, the cut has to be done correctly. Sterilise the scissors before touching anything. I mean it. This step is not optional, because bacteria introduced at the cut point can quietly derail the whole process before it even starts. Then go all the way down to the base of the plant, as close to the root ball as possible, and cut in one clean motion. Not halfway up the stem, not near the tip, right at the base, flush against the mother plant. That low cut is, exactly what gives the leaf its ability to generate roots. Cuts made further up the stem consistently fail to produce anything. Now here is where the egg comes in, and what it actually does for this process goes way further than just acting as a cute little pot. The eggshell isn't just a quirky replacement for a plastic container. It has two completely separate jobs, and both cost nothing. In the early phase, it works as a miniature growing vessel, the perfect size for a single leaf cutting, keeping the soil compact and holding the moisture levels that developing roots depend on. Later on, once the young plant gets moved into a proper pot, the shell does something no plastic container can do. It breaks down underground and releases calcium and trace minerals directly into the soil, acting as a built-in slow-release fertilizer right at root level. That's two functions for the price of zero. Preparing it is straightforward. Make an opening at the top, roughly 2.5 centimetres wide, using anything with a sharp point like the tip of a knife or the end of a screwdriver. Chip away gradually until the hole is wide enough to plant through. Then, at the very lowest point of the shell, make a small, separate drainage hole. That drainage hole cannot be skipped. Without it, water collects inside the shell with nowhere to go, and waterlogged soil will rot the roots before the plant has any real chance of surviving. With the leaf trimmed and the shell ready, the planting step is quick, but the order things happen in actually makes more of a difference than it might seem. Fill the shell halfway with soil before the leaf goes anywhere near it. A good peat works well here, light, soft, rich in nutrients. But any loose and well-draining potting mix does the job just fine. With the shell half full, place the leaf inside and lean it gently against the inner wall so it holds position on its own. Then add more soil around it, bringing it up to almost the top of the opening. The base of the leaf should be buried, with the rest of the leaf sitting visibly above the surface. Press the soil just firmly enough to keep things stable, not so hard that drainage gets restricted. Repeat this for every leaf and every shell, and then settle them all back into the original plastic egg carton. That carton becomes, a surprisingly effective growing tray. It holds every shell upright, stops them tipping over, and makes daily misting way less fiddly than managing them all separately. What comes next is, the step that holds the entire experiment together, And it's also the one most likely to get treated casually when it absolutely should not be. Once all the leaves are planted, spray every shell with a mister until the soil is properly saturated. Not slightly damp, actually wet. From that point forward, the single most important job is keeping that soil consistently moist every single day. The leaf has no roots yet. It's building an entirely new root system from nothing. And the only resource it can draw on to do that is the moisture immediately surrounding it. Let the soil dry out for a few days and the process simply stalls. Keep a carton somewhere with indirect light, not direct harsh sunlight, and check back regularly. There is, nothing else to do at this stage, except mist when it needs it, and wait. About 2 months in, something begins pushing up through the soil at the base of the leaves, and seeing it for the first time is, kind of a big moment. After roughly 2 months of consistent daily misting, tiny sprouts start emerging from the soil at the base of nearly every leaf. In this experiment, nearly every leaf produced a visible sprout, a success rate of close to 100%, with only one failing to show any growth at all. That one failure is worth mentioning, because it's going to happen sometimes, even when everything is done right. That's normal. It doesn't mean the method failed. What matters is that the vast majority worked, and every one of those sprouts is a brand new independent plant that grew from a single cut leaf planted inside an eggshell. That's the payoff for all the daily misting right there. Here's the mistake that quietly kills an otherwise successful experiment. And it happens because a very normal looking change gives the wrong impression about what's actually going on. As the sprout develops, the original leaf that started everything begins to dry out and shrivel. That looks like a problem. It is not a problem at all. The mother leaf is, essentially passing along everything it has left, its stored nutrients, its energy, directly into the young plant forming at its base. That slow drying is how it feeds the sprout. Pulling it off early cuts that supply at exactly the wrong moment. Leave it completely alone, let it dry at its own pace, and when it has nothing left to give, it will come away on its own without any help. Only at that point is the young plant actually ready to stand on its own. When the sprouts are ready for more space, how the eggshell gets handled during the transplant is, what makes this whole method pretty clever. Moving the young plant to a proper pot does not require removing the shell first. Apply light pressure to the outside of the shell until cracks appear across the surface. Those cracks give the roots inside the room they need to push outward into the surrounding soil. Place the cracked shell, roots, sprout, shell and all, directly into a pot of fresh potting mix and cover it in. This is the last step. Over the following months, the shell breaks down steadily and releases calcium and minerals into the soil, working as a built-in fertilizer right where the plant needs it most. For anyone curious about what the root development looks like inside the shell before transplanting, you can carefully crack it open and take a look, but this is not a recommended standard step. The roots at this stage are fragile, and disturbing them unnecessarily, risks wrecking 2 months of patient work for no good reason. 7 months into the experiment, the plant has changed in a way that is, hard to fully describe without just looking at it. By the 7th month, the plant is fully developed. Multiple layers of healthy new leaves, compact and thriving. The original mother leaf is still there, only just beginning its final dry out. Shortly after, 3 small flower stems push up from the centre of the plant. They grow fast, really fast. Height nearly doubles in a single day. And within about a week of first appearing, the first flower opens completely. The rest follow over the next few days. By the 1 year mark from the original leaf cut, the plant is in full bloom, flowering perfectly, with new buds still forming at the base. 1 leaf, 1 eggshell, 1 year. That's the whole investment. That's the result. Everything shown here started with 1 cut made at the base of a plant and an eggshell pulled from a carton that most people would have thrown away. The flowers that came a year later didn't arrive by luck. They arrived because each step was done right and the process was trusted, even through the weeks when nothing seemed to be happening. If this video was worth your time, hit subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.